This time on Ask Rad Rat, we design our own version of the X Games. Let's do it. Welcome back to Rad Rat Video, a channel about skateboarding where you can learn all kinds of things about skateboarding. I answer your questions here on Ask Rad Rat. I also play skateboarding video games and do some other stuff when I get the chance. Today's first question, which was submitted through radratvideo.com, is from Brandon. Is there a possibility of a new Rad Rat skate part, even including part clips or backyard freestyle? I know you have mentioned you don't film much, but a type of compilation video with some new clips even? Would love to see a new part. It's very unlikely. I had intended this summer to do a bunch of filming, but a lot of things kept coming up. I've traveled a lot, which is a good thing, but that means I haven't really been able to skate as much. I got really hurt twice, not even skating. There was a time I was coming back from a trip. I was on the airplane, and I stood up, and my knee buckled and just kind of like went sideways. And then I had to unload all of the stuff, all the bags and carry-ons, and all that kind of stuff. And I could barely walk for a couple weeks. And now if I walk for a little while, it starts to hurt again. I haven't tried to skate on it in a while because I'm pretty sure as soon as I hit just the right angle, it's going to go out again. It's in pretty rough shape right now. I also pulled like a hip flexor or something like that. And so if I even go take my dog out for a walk, we go a few blocks, like I'm limping home. So my plan was to do a bunch of stuff, but it wasn't going to necessarily be to film a video part. I think my plan would be more to film, the tricks and tribulations where I work on a trick and I show you all the attempts and I show you what it's like to work on it. I would do that. If I did enough of them, I could just combine them and kind of make it a little montage, but it's never going to be like a video part. I don't think that's going to happen again. I don't know anybody who wants to film it, it'd just be like tripod shots of me doing freestyle tricks. And while some people might like that, I don't see it being worth the hundreds of hours it would take to put together. Okay. Next question is from Mr. Poophead, who says, why do skaters always do a 360 flip or a nollie flip right after landing a huge gap or rail? Is that supposed to a kind of line that was planned or just improvised? Why do pros feel the need to do this after landing a big trick? I would ask why you don't do that, because this has always been a thing for me and my friends when we were growing up and skating. Like if I would ever land a trick, especially on camera, he would say like, keep it going. And I would try to do something else. I would try to do a trick that's really tough for me that I've landed before, but it would be really, really cool if it was in a line. So I would try to land my trick, kind of like, absorb it, stay still for a second, and then push and do something else. There's enough time to cut right before that push so that it just looks like I did my trick and that was it. But if I landed that second thing, we could keep that trick. And it would be like, oh, that first trick was just, that was just how I started my line. Just a way to make your clip more interesting and just to show more mastery. If you can do this hard gap and you are okay with risking a tray flip, that must mean you're pretty good at them, right? And so that's what it's about. That's what filming is about, is showing the cool stuff that you can do. So it makes sense to me. I don't know if I can explain why, but I feel like that would be a very common thing that people have done when you land a trick to try to keep it going and do something else while the camera's still rolling. All right, next is Nick, who asks, why are Suski grinds done so rarely that most people don't even know they exist? With the popularity of front crooks and to a much lesser degree front salads, it seems like Suski grinds would logically be more popular than they are. Okay, if you don't know what a Suski grind is, I have brought my handy dandy handboard. This is from Hangnail. I did a review of this years ago right here. I just still have it. I was thinking about it. I just saw this. It was sitting on the floor. I have it for a question in the next video I'm about to do. And I realized I'm always trying to use my phone to show you what tricks would look like, but it would even be better with this. So anyway, A Suski is always backside, depending on who you ask. In games, there will be frontside because there's no name for a frontside one. Technically, I think it's fine to call it a frontside Suski. The Suski grind is on a rail or a ledge, backside. It's a 5-0 so tilted that it's almost a back tail. So it's like that. Okay. It was popularized by a guy named Aaron Suski. And I think one of the reasons why people don't do the Suski as much is because it's Suski's trick. If it was just called like the crooked 5-0, I think it might be a little bit more popular. But like it might feel like you're kind of stealing from him if you do it. But the other thing is that it's like, to me, it's not quite as cool as a back tail because you don't have to spin as much. You don't have the same slip out potential as you do when you're on the truck. So I just think a back tail is kind of cool, and a Suski maybe not as much. Now the cool thing about a Suski though is because you don't see it that often, if you do, it catches your eye. So if you want to be the guy who brings back Suskis, you might get some attention for that. People might like that, and it might start a new wave of people trying to do Suskis. Just as of right now, I just don't see a big reason why they would come back. So nothing wrong with the trick, though, of course. All right, the next question is from LB, who says, if the powers that be placed you in charge to curate the extremely silly games, what sports would you include? They must be in some way related to skateboarding or the extreme sport culture. Examples, Heelys and soap shoes. Okay, I don't know if I would put Heelys in there, but I did some thinking about this. So I would want all of the classic skateboarding style events, park, vert, mega ramp, and I'll repeat that for BMX, scooters, and inline. So you may expect I would leave out inline or scooters or something like that, but I like to watch it at a high level. The times that I don't like it is when it's a kid at the skate park who doesn't know how to do anything and is just in the way. That's when I don't like a scooter kid. But if you're really, really good at it, then I do find it interesting to watch. So like the super high level, when you're doing flips and all that kind of stuff, then I'm on board with all that. So those 3 events for all 3 or 4 different things. And what else? I would like to see parkour with soap shoes. Okay. This one, I was thinking about it, because you mentioned the soap shoes, and I was thinking of parkour, because I don't know what a parkour contest course would look like. It's always outside. It's always, can I climb to this top of the building super quick by bouncing off of this thing, and I jump over this and do like a hand plan on it and push over. What kind of course could you make for that? And then could you make it more interesting by adding in grinds with the soap shoes? If you don't know what a soap shoe is, it's a shoe, but it has like a hard plastic center, so you can actually do grinds with it. So like parkour with grinds in it. I don't know if that exists. I don't know if anyone does that. I don't know if soap shoes can handle parkour. I imagine they might need to be more flexible or something like that. But I'm in charge here. I deign that it must be, and so someone will have to figure out how to make it work so that I can be entertained by it. Let's see. BMX dirt. I really like that. I always like to see the crazy stuff they do and the huge jumps they can do and like a corkscrew 720 and all that type of stuff. Love that. Big fan of that. I definitely want that to be in there. A dunk competition. Why not? It's basketball, sure, but it wouldn't have to be professional players. It wouldn't be like NBA players. There's no team aspect to it. There's no point scoring aspect to it, other than that you have to make the dunk. But I would want to have a dunk competition. It's so similar to all the other stuff. It's a trick. You're doing a trick. You're doing behind the back. You're doing all kinds of stuff. You just have to make the basket at the end. It's just like doing a skateboard trick. No matter how cool it is, you still have to land it. You still have to land the dunk by getting it in the basket. So I would want to see a dunk contest, but maybe there would be an obstacle course of some kind. Or you could modify it based on what you want to do. I wouldn't want it to be strictly has to be exactly standard. If you wanted to have it be an extra foot high because you can jump that high, do it. If you want to have to like bounce off of this thing and you you go along this wall and you run off of it and you jump over and dunk that way, cool. Like if there's an obstacle course type of thing that has a dunk at the end, I think that would be cool. And I think that would fit just fine, honestly. Right. Best trick in a loop. So you can do a normal loop on, and this for all types of events. So skateboards, BMX loop, maybe. There might have to be a bigger loop, but best trick on the loop. So just doing it, if you do it super, super clean, that might be okay. But we're talking like if you do it switch, if you like pull out the top like Bob Burnquist and you air and you land back on the other side, or that one guy who I wish I knew his name, but he did that clip where he goes up, he comes up and he kind of like he reverts on the top, I guess. So he comes up this stance and comes down this stance. Like if you could revert in the middle of the loop, that would be something. I don't know what the level is. Like what else could you do besides those things? But if that's what the event's going to be and you have a year to practice, hey, maybe we'll see some really cool stuff. Or, like add in the gap and then do different grabs there. I don't know. Could be interesting. I would also like to see a skateboarding super pipe. So like the snowboarding ones where it's like a half pipe, but it goes downhill and you go faster and faster and faster. What would that be like on a skateboard? Because if you watch a vert contest, there's usually airs where you just like set up. You do a grab just to get speed for the next thing. But if it's a super pipe, it wouldn't be able to be as steep because you don't slow down as much on a skateboard. But just an angled half pipe, you could do a really, really long grind, which would be cool. And every air would be like your big air. You could do like your biggest grabs and your biggest spins and stuff without as much problem that way. That could be fun. It would be super dangerous. Again, it couldn't be that steep. You wouldn't want to get the kind of air that they do there when you're landing on wood and metal, but something like that could be interesting. And also the last thing, little twist at the end, is that everyone has to compete in at least 2 different things. So I don't mean skateboard, vert, and skateboard super pipe. It would have to be like, if you're going to be in skateboarding, you also have to do a parkour one. Just because I was looking at coverage of the skateboarding when it was in the Olympics, and they were talking about like how much more interesting would it be, or like the races and stuff. How much more interesting would it be if there was just an average person there, just for context, just so you could see what, if I ran as fast as I could next to like the best in the world, how far back am I? Are they doubling am I doubling their time? Am I tripling it? Can I not even get to the end because it's too far to sprint the whole way for me? Like how does an average person relate? So if you would have to do a scooter competition as a skateboarder, I think it'd be interesting. That might not make it to the TV broadcast, but it'd be fun entertainment as a warm-up for the actual events. All right, so that's it for this time. If you've got any questions of your own, go to radratvideo.com and submit them there. You can also submit them if you join my Patreon. You'll get some videos early, and you have full right to send me messages that I am required to answer either on video or just as a reply. You can support the channel by liking it, subscribing, sending it to your friends, and hitting the join button. But that's it for now. Thanks for hanging out.